Hello friends, so today I'm going to talk about using Raspberry Pi and CoDeSys together. So CoDeSys provide a runtime for the Raspberry Pis which we can utilize it for programming the different Raspberry Pi configurations. So Pi 0 or Pi 3B, Pi 4, all the things we can configure. So first we need to have Raspberry Pi image loader. So the basic setup to load the OS, so we can use, and the SD card we have to have, and then we need to write using this Raspberry Pi imager. So first we need to load the OS into the Raspberry Pi. So it will take some time uh, to get it written. So once it get all written, then into the SD card, then we can put the SD card into the Raspberry Pi, and then it will boot from the Raspberry Pi OS. So once the OS is loaded, we need to also configure or install the runtime, so that we can do using CodeSys installer. So we need to first install the Raspberry Pi runtime. So we need to go to CodeSys installer, click on the change, click on the browse, and then write the Raspberry. So once we type the Raspberry and search, we will get the CodeSys control for Raspberry Pi. Now if you see, it will have it has a different versions. So we need to click on checkbox and then click on the CodeSys part. Once we click on the install, then it will try to resolve the dependency, and then after we need to click OK and install the package. So basically then we have to accept the license agreement as we do for any software, and once we select and continue, yeah, then it will, after clicking OK, it will start installing the Raspberry Pi. So we need to even close the CodeSys IDE for the installation. So once we close that, it will start downloading the package and installing the package into the CodeSys IDE. So once it get installed, then we will go for the configuration of the Raspberry Pi and loading of the runtime. So we need to wait for some time till it get downloaded and installed. So it takes a few minutes to get it done. So we will get the add-ons were successfully installed. We need to click on OK. So once we click on OK, it is completed. We need to close the installer and open the CodeSys IDE. So once it is open, we need to go to tools, and then we need to go to update Raspberry Pi. We will get this option after we have the package installed. Then we need to put the name and the password. So this name and password are the password, a name which we have set up during our OS installation into the Raspberry Pi and during the first configuration. So right now my Raspberry Pi is connected with Wi-Fi network. So we can get the IP what it has got. So we need to put the IP in the target address. So right now it is, which is kept here at 192.168.1.9. If you see that, we need to put what exactly the IP address we have got for the Raspberry Pi. So once we put, then we need to select the package, which package we want to install, and then click on the install. So it will take some time to get all the package transferred and for the runtime to get installed on the Raspberry Pi. Once it will get installed, then we will come to know the details by clicking on the system information. So let's let it get installed first, so it will take some time. So you can see that it retrieves information and now connecting to the target and getting all the package informations. So once it retrieve, then it will give us options. So for Raspberry Pi Zero, as I'm using, if you see, I'm using Raspberry Pi Zero here. So for that, only one option will be enabled because of the standard. For Pi 4, we can get a standard and multi-core. So for Raspberry Pi Zero, if we are using, then we need to select only standard and click OK. So it will try to set it up. So once it got installed, then we can click on the system info, and it will give us all the details of the package which has been got installed on the Pi Zero or the any Pi controller. Okay, so it is showing all the details here: CPU info, network info, package info, runtime info. So everything will be shown in this particular pop-up window. Okay, so we can close that, and now so that's all on the setup of the CodeSys runtime on the Raspberry Pi. Okay, so after this we can go to device. So the best part in the CodeSys is that the program which we have written for the Windows control VLC or for any different PLC, we just have to go and update the device with the proper required device. So if you see, we are not getting here any option for Raspberry, so because it is there in the soft motion PLCs. So there we will find, so we have to select the SL because our architecture selected was SL standard. If it is multi-core, then multi-core SL it will be. If it is standard, then we have to select only Raspberry Pi SL. So it will take some time to update the device and configure all the needed changes into the project. So only the thing best in the CodeSys is the same program which we have written for Raspberry Pi can be even used for different PLCs which is supported by CodeSys. So of course the structure remains same. So program will not change. Only what changes will happen is the addition of the IO or deletion of the IO. Means the different software hardware will have different kind of IO. For Raspberry Pi we have the GPIO. For another PLC we will have different kind of IO, field bus IO, correct? So if you see here, the GPIOs got added, one wire got added. So these are the things which we have configured in the configuration of Raspberry Pi. So all those things will get enabled. So we have to set this in the Raspberry Pi when we were doing the OS configuration. So yeah, once it get updated, then we can close the pop-up which we have got, and all set on the project structure side. So this is what the project structure we will get. So GPIO AB, which is needed for configuration of the pins. So general purpose input output pin. So here if you see, all the GPIO which are supported are given here. default value is not used, and we can select between input and output. So whether the pins which are configured will be treated as an input or output. So we can configure all these things here. So I'm selecting all the all the GPIO as output, and if you want to select input, then we can also select input type. So this is how we do the selection of each IO. Then we need to go to IO mapping, and here we need to do the mapping of each bit with some variable, or we can utilize the memory address to make them work basically. So when we are writing any logic, either we use address or we connect this bit with the variables. So like here we have the light on and switch, two variables I have created. So one is the switch, which will make the light to be on. Now if we want to map it, then we can either go directly to the particular bit where we have to map, browse the tag, and so after browsing we'll go to application PLC, and which variable we have to use light on for the bit 17. So this is how we do the mapping. So once the variables will get mapped, then the memory address is not effective, so that memory address will go off. Okay, so it's not utilized for that particular program. Then we need to scan the network to get, so as I'm using Wi-Fi network, so my laptop and the Raspberry Pi should be on the same network in order to get it. So let me first connect. Once I am connected to the network, then you can see that we have the scanned the Raspberry Pi, and for the first time it tells that in the latest version only we need to add the device user. It is a mandatory by default, but that we can remove and we can change. That I have explained in the previous video where I'm talking about installation of the CoDeSys and the setup of the Windows PLC. So there uh, we can see how we can disable this particular user management for the device. So once we give the user management, it will get populated here, which Raspberry Pi, what is the version, what is the target number, what is the version of the runtime, everything will be shown here. So let's go online. So now download the program and go online. So we will get the pop-up that application does not exist. Once we say yes, it will start downloading the code. So on the bottom we will get all the details what action it is performing. So as you see, it is showing here download info, downloading how many bytes, kilobytes of the total memory it will consume. So Okay, so once it is downloaded, we can go online by clicking on the online icon, and it will get connected with the Raspberry Pi, and the ID will go online with it. So this is how it will be seen when we go online. So let me open the visualization in the web browser. So by default it support web visualization. So what I'm seeing here is the requested URL was not found on this server. Why this happened is because if you see the web visual, it is having some line, and the start visualization page is not given here. So we need to provide here the start visualization page. So when the web server start, which page it has to show, first page. So let's browse it and select the page and save the program and download it. So once we download, once it get downloaded, we will see the URL will work, and we will get the visualization which we have created to make the light on. Okay, so let it get downloaded. Once it get, just after download, so it's still in the process of downloading all the code. So get downloading, initializing, and it is downloaded and finished. Okay, so now if we refresh the page, we will get the visualization also. And when we click on the switch, the light will get on. So it is not happening only on the web page, but also the relay will get triggered. So let me show you. You see, so that light is getting on and off based on the command which we are sending. Okay, so this is the very basic setup of the Raspberry Pi, and utilize it with the CoDeSys. So with this GPIOs, we can drive any of the output, or if you want to utilize it for the input, that also we can do. Yeah, so this is the way we can start with Raspberry Pi and the CoDeSys. So that's all for this particular tutorial. Thanks for watching. That's all for this video. See you in the next one.